guys.
Hey, here we are.
I love the delayed reaction.
Yeah.
Well,
I thought you weren't pleased to see me.
yes. And it's just going to get nicer. Hey, Aki, what day is it? Why you ask?
Nah, I don't know.
It's Romeo Day, you fool. Get with
Now
the
you're
script.
full. Oh my goodness.
All those rehearsals.
There is no script. There
All
are
those
no
rehearsals.
entirely ad
All those
lib.
dress rehearsals.
Anyway, boys, nice to see you.
Good to
And
see
I'd like
you.
to take this opportunity to welcome our viewers and listeners
Welcome.
back.
Yeah.
Hola.
Always great
We
to have
feel
you
the
join
love.
us. Thank you. Thank you for the continued support. Much appreciated.
Subscribe.
Please subscribe. We need more subscribers.
There you go. The begging is over. Okay, what are we talking about today?
Groveling. Today, I thought it'd be interesting for us to talk about whether weddings are a scam.
Bullshit. Excuse me. What did you say?
And you can take this in a number of different directions. You guys are good with that?
Let's go for it.
Let's go.
All right. So, Dominic, you want to get us started?
Yeah.
Well, in weddings, you're talking about the ceremony and everything. Or,
Drop names, Dominic. Come on, drop names.
drop names. Look, I mean, it's a scam if you let it be a scam.
Okay.
You know, I think like everything else, I think the bigger scams are funerals. That's another story. But no, I think if you control the process, it's not a scam. I think it's, depending on your traditions, depending on your values, it's something that's nice. You can control the process. Yeah, the emotions get, play a part in it. You want to do the right thing. You want to do a nice thing. And the wallet gets a little bit wider, You have no choice. You have a choice, but, you tell yourself it's once in a lifetime. And
That's not normally true.
Are we saying the whole institution of marriage is a scam?
no, we're talking about...
Well,
I'll talk to that later.
Wait, so
Hey, up with the door.
you can say whatever you like on the
No,
topic.
but
Yeah, to me, weddings is the ceremony part. Marriage is, the actual relationship.
okay.
So
So we're talking about
yeah,
the social
well,
part of it.
if marriage, no, is it a scam? No, I don't think it is.
no, weddings.
But weddings, yeah.
Okay, but-
Marriage is a tax deduction, so
Okay. So so the experience that we've had is what? What is it that we are sharing with our audience? That these couples that get married and then 3 months later, after the big wedding and all the gifts and all the cash envelopes, then they divorce. Is that what we're talking
Well,
about?
hold on. We can talk about a number of different things. Let's take a step back.
Yeah.
Let's take a step back.
Okay.
So I don't know that anyone has a singular answer to this question, but what is the essence of a wedding?
yeah. So if you ask different people, it's going to be different things. Some people.
So give me your perspective, each of you.
Okay, so there are two different ways of looking at it. One is obviously it's for the couple who are about to get married. It's their celebration. It's their wedding. But another way to look at it, which was given to me during my wedding, is that it's actually for your parents as well, because the people that are being invited, especially in my case, were mostly the friends of the parents as opposed to the friends of the couple who were about to get married. So I don't know if that's the same around this table, but we can certainly, talk through it. So instead of becoming a day just for the kids or just for the couple who are about to get married, it became much more I won't call it an enterprise, but a whole reckoning, if you will, of people who had invited the parents to their kids' weddings and who needed to now be invited because we were invited to theirs. So now you need to invite us to ours. and
Old
all this
world.
crap.
So that's interesting. But what I'm most interested in hearing from each of you is in your view, what is it or what should it be?
Oh, well, what it is what I just said. What should it be? It should be for the couple only. And we tried our best, but I mean, there was just no way that was going to happen in our case, way back in 91.
Okay.
So,
Dominic?
Yeah, well, being Italian, first generation, obviously, those traditions, you have to respect them. I mean, we didn't want a big wedding, but that's the way it was. I mean, you got to respect your parents and what they want. And now it's more diluted now. My daughter that got married, she did what she wanted. We paid, but she did what she wanted. So it was.
And you're okay with that?
I'm okay with that. Yeah. I mean, we didn't have. It was mostly friends.
Right.
It wasn't like when I got married. It was all. I mean, indirectly they were my relatives, but I'd never seen these people, cousins of my father, my mother, and
They're coming out of the woodwork.
exactly. So I've never seen.
And Dominic had a tenor at his wedding.
Yeah, there you go. So
I had the gardener.
there you go. So,
He's not joking.
I'm not joking. The gardener and his wife were there.
there you go. So so being Italian, it's sort of you were restricted in that sense.
Well, you say Italian, and I understand. I'm going to venture a guess that most people from an ethnic background probably share similar stories and similar views.
Yeah. So the first part of this is the wedding. The wedding is really a validation of the commitment that two people are making to each other, and that's their celebration. That's to me what the wedding is.
So
Now,
it's for the kids.
It's for the primary, the persons here that we're talking about, the couple. So that's number one. I agree, of course. I mean, being Greek myself, Italians, we all know what we're talking about. When it's weddings, it's not just, as everybody has pointed out, it's not just about the couple. It's also about your standing with your friends, the community, the parents, the people from the old country, the partners. In your case, the gardener. So absolutely. But did you say in your case that you had more people at your wedding from that side of it that you didn't know?
Yeah, from
Okay.
my ex's side. Yeah,
we were. I mean, I don't know about you, but we were like we made sure that yes, we were respectful, but we also made sure that we weren't in a situation where the majority of the people in the room we didn't know them.
Well, that's what it was. Like we had 400 people in the wedding, and I think from my side it was maybe 100, including our friends. So.
Yeah, so it's a whole social scene for us. For the ethnics, it's a whole it's social scene. It's like like the debutantes and the coming out for a lot of other cultures. For us, the wedding that's what it is. It's the coming out of the good name of the family, etc.
So is that right or wrong? Okay, sorry.
Let's get yours. In my view, a wedding should be an event that celebrates the union of the couple. And from my perspective, the couple should decide how they want that celebration to take place. My observation is that weddings have become a commercial endeavor and a competition of sorts. And the competition or the competitive fires seem to affect the couple, as well as oftentimes the couple's parents.
Where's the competition coming from, though, in your view? Is it from the couple, or is it from the milieu or the friends of the couple?
What I'm saying is that at multiple levels. So, for instance, a couple that is getting married, their wedding ceremony today is likely being influenced by what some of their friends or siblings have done if other people preceded them, people of their generation preceded them in getting married.
Okay.
Similarly, I think that the parents get involved more often than they should and to a greater extent than they should because they too are in competition with cousins and siblings and friends and others whose kids have gotten married, and don't you know they did this and they did that and they had this many people and they served this type of food and this type of venue. And I think it gets absurd at times.
I agree. Social status.
And so for me, the wedding really should be an event that celebrates the union of the couple on the terms and attended by the people that are important for the couple to have there. Yeah. That's how I look at it.
So what do you think about what I think is the fact or the comment that most times it's the parents who are paying for at least a part of it, if not all of it, because the kids that are getting married are typically at the beginning of their careers and so on and don't necessarily have a lot of money. So does the venue and the way the wedding is going to get put in place, number of people, food, all this stuff that you talked about, and social status and all of that, is that driven by who's paying for it?
I don't think it should be.
But it is.
And to some extent, of course, it is.
Yeah, but you blame them, right?
And I would tell you that it also supports the point I just made that certain young couples will tell you, no, we don't get caught up in all the hoopla and the competitiveness of it and so on. But they do. Because if they didn't, more of them would be apt to tell their parents, you know what, thank you for the offer, keep your money, we're going to do this on our terms.
Yeah.
Because if there are conditions attached to the money you're giving me towards the wedding, and look, there are a lot of traditions that have changed over the years. Yeah. It used to be that the bride's parents are the ones who paid for the wedding.
Well, it is for the Italians.
And you're saying it still is for the Italian, but it's not necessarily true.
No.
in more general terms.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And-
Do you subscribe to that? I mean, as a father of daughters, as a father, myself as a father of a daughter, do we
I don't-
buy into that?
I
Excuse the
don't buy
pun.
into that because it's not logical, but I bought into it. And,
Did you get a return on investment or?
Yeah, he did. He did. He did.
Look, in the end, it all comes down to wash. You just get that much less in the end. But the other thing is that for Italian weddings, usually, because, it's those envelopes
They're self-paid.
with the cash. Not only that, no. If it's,
It used to be. That's another interesting one. So I'm going to come back to
let
the
me
topic.
finish my thought. Is that not only do they get the envelopes, but they keep the money, and the bride's father and mother pay for the wedding. So it's a double,
Profit.
yeah, well, a double profit. I mean, it's so
Yeah.
they walk away with all the cash, and the parents pay the wedding. So that's the way typically has been done for Italians.
Well, and so you're talking from an Italian perspective. I know of Indians and other cultures where people will indebt themselves in order to pay for a wedding that is a showcase. And I find that ludicrous. Right? So by the time your kids get married, you're probably, for most people, in your 50s, maybe in your early 60s. Is that really a time of life where you want to start taking on debt for the purpose of throwing a one-day event for the union of your kids?
It's a cultural thing, right?
It's a cultural thing. It's about saving face.
I understand it's cultural, saving face. So again, it comes down to competitive, saving face.
It's ridiculous.
You have
Do
to
things according to your means, for goodness sake.
right, but well, that's long gone. That ship has sailed a long time ago.
Right. The other thing
Right.
is the affordability of weddings nowadays.
Yeah.
So that's changed.
Yeah.
So it used to be you attended a wedding and look, okay, back in the day, like 50, 75, $100 per person. You think, okay, I'm covering the cost of my plate and my booze and whatever I'm going to consume at the wedding, the rentals.
Yeah.
Right. And then you came out whole, more or less. As you said, in many cultures, the kids collected while the parents were paying. But on the whole, you came out pretty much having collected an amount equivalent to what was spent on the wedding.
Yeah.
Today, I don't see that being the case because increasingly today, unless you really go on the cheap, weddings are costing probably close to $300 per head.
Oh yeah,
So every person you invite to a wedding today is costing you in the neighborhood of $300. Most people who are attending weddings do not have $300 per head to give.
Yeah.
They don't.
it's a lot of money.
And people take mortgages out. They'll take second mortgages out on their properties. I know of people who've done that in order to cover
weddings.
the costs for the wedding.
So this is where, I raise the question, have weddings become a scam, or are weddings a scam? Because it's become a commercial endeavor,
Yes.
which is all about a showcase and people's wishes and desires being met regardless of what the cost is, pretty much. And there are parties that are filling their pockets with dough. Parents who are often putting themselves in a precarious financial position just for the sake of saying, oh, look at the wonderful wedding my child had.
Yeah.
But is that an ethnic thing? Is it the ethnic communities that really buy into that? And I'd like to hear,
I think to
from
a
other
large,
cultures,
Yeah,
like-
and I think to a large extent it is. But again, viewers, listeners, please
Yeah.
weigh in on this topic. We'd love to hear what you have to say.
I mean, I think it's beyond ethnicity as well because of all these, bridezilla shows and whatever. Like just to dress, for God's sake, they're so damn expensive. Just for a dress for the bride, never mind the bridesmaids and all this other stuff. And on top of that, we also have destination weddings, which is another, layer above, if you will, in terms of cost for everyone.
So why do we have a growing number of destination weddings?
Well, I think it's more because of social media, TikTok and Instagram.
I think that's
people
part
post
of it, but and being close to it because in
Vanity.
my circle of acquaintances, I would say more recently I've become aware of more and more destination weddings. And for the couple getting married, it's actually driven by financial considerations. Because if you're getting married locally, it's $300 a plate. They figure that they can get in for under $200 a plate,
even you factor in travel costs.
their travel costs. What they don't care, an ounce about is the invited guests. How much is it going to cost them?
Yeah.
Because if you're attending the wedding, you're still going to pay, you're still going to gift something to the couple.
Right.
You can't be a complete cheapskate.
Yeah.
I can
But
attest to that.
the cost you're going to incur
Yeah, it's
to
gonna be
travel to
huge.
the wedding.
Really, that's interesting. I didn't see
Absolutely.
that standpoint.
Actually, there's
So I can name just in the last year 3 or 4 acquaintances whose kids have opted for destination weddings.
And they did the calculation.
Not because they got seduced by the idea of getting married in Italy or Greece, but because it was going to cost them significantly less.
So when you factor in airfare, when you factor in hotel
For themselves.
for themselves,
There's
for
a-
themselves.
Far less.
There's another layer to that. Is that by doing a destination wedding, you don't have to invite all these people.
Yeah, or if you do, a lot of them won't
No,
show
you
up.
don't.
Right.
You just invite the really close ones. So instead of having 200, 300 people, you have 60 people. And
But the 60 or 80 people who are attending
yeah.
are paying a fortune to attend a wedding.
Well, it depends where you're having it.
Yes.
Well, generally, so if you're from North America,
Yeah.
the destination weddings are generally taking places in
Yeah.
European countries like Italy and Greece.
The way it's
you would take a vacation, so
Yeah,
that would be
exactly.
you treat it as a vacation. That's your vacation.
Exactly. That's how people see it. Look, of course, if I have to go to a wedding to Shibugamo or Toronto, I mean,
We just lost Toronto.
Exactly. No, but
You won't be vacationing.
yeah, exactly.
That's not a destination.
That's it. So you're going to Italy. We had my daughter's wedding in Italy
Yes.
2 years ago, and we were like what 69 people.
Bellissimo. Oh, what a wedding.
That's it. So I mean,
On the Adriatic.
So instead of inviting,
Yeah.
there would have been at least because on the husband's side, they have a business, so they have a lot of people. Can you imagine? Would have been 300-400 people. This way,
So that's a different kind of scam.
Well, I mean, to me, it was much nicer.
Right.
Than my wedding, we had 140 people. I knew 20 of them, so.
Oh, you too, what? All this, this proportion of people there from the family and the
Well, you guys were at my wedding, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you guys were the only ones I knew.
Yeah.
Your table and my friend's table
Exactly.
Seriously.
were the only people that.
But even then,
So 2 tables out of the entire place.
And even then, and I've said this to you before, Naran, that I appreciate having been invited and it was a great time, but I found it odd that your brother would be inviting his friends because we weren't friends at the time.
No, I know. I
So
just
that
wanted
he-
people
that-
I
that he-
recognized.
that he would invite his friends to his brother's wedding.
Well, he didn't. I did. I mean, the decision was
No,
ours.
but you knew those are the friends that you also knew.
Well, it's because I knew you guys.
Well, there
Even
you
though we
go.
weren't
So-
friends,
so
I was
that's-
the little brother.
That's fair. That's fair.
But I just at
That's
least I
fair.
knew you guys.
That's fair.
I was honored. So,
Yeah. Good call, Nuran.
All I'm saying is I found it interesting.
but
right?
curiously,
Well,
the memories that I have of my own wedding compared to my daughter's wedding, okay, it's more recent. Man, my daughter's wedding, the memories are much better. It's like, okay, I paid for it, but it was
Yeah.
worth it.
the destination. The destination was very
Yeah,
special. It was a
exactly.
great background.
So, and you have less people. So it's more intimate.
So it's interesting. There are some cultures that, with their invitation, identify what the cost per person is. So in other words, no wedding gift.
I haven't seen that.
No
Seriously?
registries. Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
I haven't seen that. Have you guys seen that?
Well,
You've seen this?
you live in a province where it's common practice. So you may not have been invited to some of these weddings, but that's how it works. No, I'm serious.
On the invitation, there's the figure per head.
It tells you
I have not
you
seen
are
those
you are
invitations.
invited to our celebration of marriage, and the cost is X dollars per person.
I think that's very low class.
Whether you
Yeah.
come along
Very low
or,
class.
Well, you say it's low class. You know what I find interesting? Some of the ethnic groups that you're referring to or are part of invite people to weddings.
Yes.
And then the whole conversation is, geez, these people, they came to the wedding, they knew it was $300 a plate, and they only gave $100 per
yes.
person.
Yes, true.
They're so freaking
True,
cheap.
True. That,
Oh, what's the difference?
It's true. It's true.
Here, you're actually
You're
told,
upfront about it.
You're actually told up front, if you want to attend, we'd love to have you. If you want to attend, this is the cost. And by the way, if you choose not to come, that's we're okay with
so
that.
Okay. So my take on this is I don't want to have that conversation. I don't really. I want the people that come there. I want them to come there because it's authentic, because they're real friends, and I want them just to enjoy.
So
the
if they're
event.
real friends,
They're real friends, and I don't want them to calculate how much it is per head.
But that's
I
what
don't like that
happens.
because I'm not going to do that.
Well, you may
So
not.
Apologies if that was evident to you guys, but
You may not. I can tell you the amount of conversation following a wedding
Yeah, you're right.
about who gave how much.
you're absolutely right.
And
It happened
are
to
they
our
out of their
wedding.
minds?
You're
Are they
absolutely right.
cheap? Are they this? Are they that?
Okay, but do
Like,
you subscribe to that? I mean, personally, do you
To what?
subscribe to that? Like, if you get invited to a good friend's wedding, You calculate, you do that calculation, like, I'm gonna pay whatever the gift is. It has to reflect the cost per head at this wedding.
The only calculation I make is determining how much money I'm going to gift each of my kids for their change in life, because to me, the wedding, the decision to get married is a change in life. I allot a certain amount of money, and then what I tell them is, you decide how you want to spend that money.
But you didn't answer my question. So when you get invited, you get a wedding invitation. You and Lisa get a wedding invitation.
When you get a
wedding invitation, do you, in your mind, when you think of the gift that you want to give the couple, you also consider the cost per head? Is that a consideration for you? For me, it's not.
As to whether or not I'm going to attend?
No, if you're when you decide to give the gift, the cash gift,
yes,
you calculate that.
Yes, and I'll give you a concrete example. Lisa and I were invited to a wedding several years ago now, which was a wedding. It was the first wedding we attended in many, many, many years. Mm-hmm. Neither one of us had any clue of what a wedding cost at this point. Many years had passed since we had attended a wedding or since we had been married. So we get invited to a wedding, and it's friends of ours whose daughter was getting married. So we were glad to get the invitation and glad to attend. So I do what I usually do in these cases. I go online and I start looking up, wedding, what do you normally give for a wedding? And because people today, they get married, they have all the material things. Nobody does registries anymore. So you're giving money. People want money.
Yeah.
So I'm going to give money.
Yeah.
So I look it up and I tell Lisa, well, it seems the range is X to Y. And I said, okay, what can you tell me where they're getting married? And I say, you know what? I mean, we're gonna lean towards Y, which was the upper scale of the range that I had seen. And I looked at a number of different references. So we attend the wedding, we give a card, an envelope, okay. And it just so happens that Lisa's having a conversation with the mom, with her friend, who says the wedding costs essentially came down to X dollars per plate. And Lisa has an oh my God moment and comes home and tells me, you're not going to believe this, but the wedding cost this. I said, honestly, I'm embarrassed, but I had no clue how much a wedding costs.
So it was Y plus something basically.
Y plus a lot.
Oh shit. Okay.
And so when I say a lot, like 50% more than Y.
Oh shit. Okay.
And again, I'm not stupid. I go to restaurants, I eat out, I know how much food costs, but I had no idea, the details of what are they serving. So if you're serving oysters and the booze is flowing,
So if the attitude.
So what we did after the fact is actually provided another envelope. Oh. And not because anybody expected it, but because we felt terrible.
Yeah. You were that much though off the mark?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I mean, I don't think we're ever really that much off the mark.
Well, I'm telling you. So today, I know because my daughter's getting married next year, and now we've attended more weddings recently, and there's a lot more conversation amongst our friend group whose kids are getting married. But I can tell you that so I got married 30 some odd years ago. It's a long time, right? So, but if you got $100 per head, or if you paid $100 per person back then, you're gonna have like a very nice meal, an open bar, and good music, and a nice venue, and that's what it costs.
Yep.
Yeah.
Today, the equivalent of what I'm referring to is $300 per head.
So this whole conversation that takes place, it turns me off. Like, we're friends. You honor me by inviting me to the wedding, and then if I'm like $50 short of what the cost is per head, you're going to actually sit there and hold that against me?
No. They may not. I'm talking about.
But is that what's happening?
Listen, I don't.
You feel compelled to send another envelope.
Not because of any expectations. I generally don't care what other people think of me. I don't.
Well, we know that.
Thank you. But from my perspective, I felt bad. I felt bad that I would attend a wedding and not have a real understanding of what the cost was.
But it's not your responsibility to cover that cost.
Well, no,
but I feel that I should cover the cost.
Well, it depends on an individual, right? I mean,
that's why I always said that the envelopes should not be given at the beginning, but at the end. You see how the food is. You see what's.
A lot of people do that. A lot of people put the money in during the place. You see them like they'll,
It's like, yeah, I think
they'll
that's how
count
it
out.
should
I'll
be,
put an extra 20 in here.
Because I got
Take out an extra. Take
I
out a
got
50.
screwed many times the other way.
Yeah, it was
As
chicken
long
only.
as nobody presents you with a terminal with tip percentages
Tip
on it.
percentage.
Isn't it checks? I mean, what?
Yeah,
Or
Check.
cash.
No, a lot of people
Cash.
put cash.
Cash? Yeah.
Yeah.
You?
No, I don't put cash
No.
anymore. No.
Oh, no, checks.
No, but,
I know our wedding had both.
I've had a couple of situations where I put in way too much gift for what we got that night.
It was only chicken.
For what you got or what it cost them.
Well, I don't know. I don't care what it cost them.
Yeah. See, so for me, look, and I don't think it's a question of right or wrong. It's a question of you got to, you have your principles, your beliefs, and that's how your behavior should be guided, right? So for me, I would say it's important for me to feel like if I'm attending an event that I was invited to, that I'm gonna cover the cost.
They're bad negotiators.
And they may be bad negotiators. Look, Dominic, I don't drink alcohol.
Yeah, so right off the bat.
If I'm attending a wedding, they're serving wine and it's open bar.
True.
I know I'm compensating
That's an important
for other
consideration.
people's consumption.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's an
But
important
I agreed to go.
No, we're not big. drink
That's a
that
good
much.
point.
Right?
No, I just feel sometimes,
But I feel it's a scam. And here, so I'm going to answer the question. That
What's
I raised
the
earlier.
scam part
I
for
think
you?
it's a scam because it's become a commercial endeavor.
Yeah.
But whose fault is that, though?
It's not a question of fault.
We
People
buy
in
into
general,
it.
people are opportunistic. And so businesses are opportunistic. The people who are selling wedding gowns, they're pulling at strings, emotional strings. You're buying a dress that you're going to wear for 6 or 7 hours, and you're paying thousands and thousands of dollars for a dress that you're going to wear once.
Yeah.
Surely there's a market of beautiful wedding dresses that have been used and cleaned that are available. No, I got to have my wedding dress.
Yes, exactly.
It's a scam. And I got to buy shoes. And the moms, the dads get less caught up in it. The moms, I got to buy a new wedding dress because I can't be seen in a picture at my daughter's or at my son's wedding wearing a dress that is seen in other pictures.
Yeah.
So you're also going out now and spending big dollars.
Everyone is.
Everyone is.
Yeah.
I know I did.
Shoes, suits.
Everything. And then the people who rent the venues, they see you coming. And they say, yeah, it's a wedding. Nothing's too good for you. It's your wedding day.
Exactly.
And this is how much it's going to cost. And whether you have a band or you have a DJ, they see you coming too. And it's going to be this much. And the food we serve is this much. But that's the baseline.
That's right.
And you don't want to come across as cheap. So
You
you're
want
not
a
gonna
sweet
make-
table.
You're
You
not going
want,
to, you have to have a sweet table.
You want the paninis at midnight.
Listen, the four,
The chocolate fountain.
the four courses we serve for dinner are not sufficient. So at midnight,
right.
we got to bring out a table.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right?
People are going to be peckish by
And by
then.
the way, you're not going to make people pay for their own booze.
No, you can't. Of course.
So having 2-3 bottles of wine per table is not sufficient. You got to have an open bar.
of course.
And how much is that? Whatever it is,
exactly.
I'll sign the check.
Yeah.
Right? So that's why I say it's a scam. It's a complete scam. And people get caught up in it, and I understand why. And I tell folks, I said it's interesting because over the years, as people reflect back on weddings, nobody talks about, maybe in the days following the wedding, they'll say the food was good or it wasn't so good. But years later, it wasn't, do you remember what was served at that wedding? The food was good or the music was good or bad?
But you
or
remember
indifferent?
the experience.
You
The
remember
people, the
broadly,
important
you
ones.
remember the experience. But for me, it's much more, reflecting back, this couple, and by the way, they're still together, which is only true about half the time.
Yeah.
Right. And
Three
they're
quarters
still
are on this table. So
and they're still in love, or they're still, like a great couple. And that's what warms the heart.
Exactly.
Not the
But-
fact that she wore this dress from this brand. This
In that
label.
case, that's not a scam. I mean, there's a serious, loving couple. They built a life together. They had a wonderful celebration.
Well, the scam-
Everybody had fun.
But then I don't want to hear from young
The scam-
people. I don't want to hear from young people that buying a house is expensive today when you think nothing of having your parents dish out $80,000 to
agree.
$100,000 for a one-day event.
Right, but I also know families who made this decision, to your point, and they said, instead of investing like 50, 60, 80, whatever $1,000, I'll take mom and dad, please, I'll take that money as a gift for a down payment for our first home.
Yeah,
So
which is a lot smarter
Which
thing
is a
to
lot
do,
smarter.
for
But
sure.
but again, it's ethnic. I mean, in our community, that's
But Pat, I
the
gotta,
expectation. The expectation is we're going to do it all. In our community,
That's why. That's why in my
case.
case, and just doing
Yeah.
what I believe
That's good.
is the appropriate thing is to tell, in this case, my daughter, and if and when the others get married, it'll be a similar conversation. Here's a contribution to a change that is occurring in your life. You're going to make the decision as to how much of this you want to put towards a wedding, whether it's all or a portion of, how much of this you want to put towards a home, how much of this you want to put towards other things. And I don't want to hear, do you realize what things cost today? Like,
Yeah.
this is not enough to cover the cost. That's not my problem. That's a you problem. It's not a me problem.
I'm on your side, 100%.
you know, Pat, I gotta say something. When you're sitting seaside on a hill after you eating like a god, sitting with your buddy, you say, this is all worth
Yes,
it. Every
absolutely.
single penny of it. You know. So, I mean,
Well, let me ask you a question.
yeah.
If you enjoy going to these types of destinations in Italy, in Greece, wherever, what prevents you from doing so and going with friends if that gives you additional pleasure?
Oh, we do.
Okay. So I don't need a wedding for that.
No, you're right. But when it's your daughters or your son,
Yeah, but it's also
So
going back to the homeland. I mean, the
Yeah,
culture.
of course.
There's
The
that
home-
aspect
the
of
home-
it.
It's nonsense. The
We
homeland.
didn't go to the Dominican
Well, it's not
Republic.
true, it's
No,
not
but in
true.
the case of Italy, of course,
of
there's
course.
the
They
roots.
speak the language, you know, it's their roots. You know, I mean, no, I think, yeah, you're right. That's an additional.
It's a show. It's a show. And look, you know, honestly, for me, as I reflect back, I'm going to say, you know what? I'm so happy that my daughter chose this guy. I could care less whether they get married in a grand venue or a lesser venue, what's being served for dinner, what music is playing, how many people show up. What matters to me is that they're not only happy today, but they find happiness together in the long term. That's what matters to
I
me.
totally agree. But
Everything else is window dressing.
the point that Aki made, it's a very good point because if they had said, my daughter, we want to go to Mexico or Jamaica, no. What's the point?
Okay, but you and I are different in that way because you
Yeah.
say, what's the point? My point is, my daughter should do what she wants to do.
Yeah,
Whether it's getting married locally,
right.
getting married in Italy, in Greece, in Mexico, anywhere.
But
It's your choice, and I will be there.
yeah, but there's an additional consideration here, and our kids, the way we raise them to respect, you know, their roots, their predecessors, the original homeland. So if they're interested, like in combining that experience with their wedding experience, that's chateau. I mean, that's-
Uh,
I don't know how many people are doing it for the reasons you outlined. And I know a lot of
Well,
people who are getting married in Italy or in Greece.
Right.
Give us the opportunity to invite my relatives in Italy, which we never had the chance to do. Hardly seen them, you know. So that was the nice thing also, to give that opportunity to be
Yeah.
with. You
So
know,
there's more to that. There's
Yeah.
more than just a destination,
it
a
was-
classic destination wedding. In that case, the way they did it.
So, guys, can we back up a little bit and just maybe give our opinion as to what we suggest for the youth of today who are looking at getting married sometime in the future? And what are the pitfalls? What are the things that they should look for? Whether their parents are after them, whether, you know, society is after them, whether it's social media, whether it's, you know, they want to go someplace to a destination wedding for it to be cheaper, whatever, all the things we talked about. What would be our advice to young people now who aren't yet married?
I think Pat's idea is the best.
Which is,
This is your amount. You do whatever you
agree.
want to do.
I agree.
And don't tell me this is too much, too expensive. This is it. You want to spend it all on that?
what if the parents can't afford anything? What if the parents
Oh, well,
don't have...
then that's a different story. This is how much you're getting. And
Because we're talking, you
Yeah.
know, from a position of relative, you know, ability to pay for things. So if you couldn't afford, you know,
Well,
the
but-
destination wedding for your daughter, you know, whatever. We're
Yeah.
all in a situation where we can help. But say we weren't, what would the kids?
If
what
you have
would-
Well, no,
limited,
but-
if you have limited resources, obviously my advice to them is if you have we have limited financial resources, is it really wise to put what we have, you know, in a big celebration party, or to use it differently for your own benefit, for a more enduring and more sensible future for you.
Okay,
That's
so-
the conversation that
So
we have.
basically,
So don't.
that's your advice to.
That would be don't leave aside the social pressures. Let's not start from there. I understand they're there, and I understand you feel obliged, and if you have friends and dad, my friends, I've been to this wedding, and they did this and they did that. I don't think my kids are like that. I don't know. So it's not about again social pressures. It's not about materialism. It's about what feels right, and what the most important thing is, that relationship.
Yeah, but
So it's interesting because I'm going to use my youngest daughter as an example. As recently as 5-6 years ago, my youngest daughter would have told us, I'm not getting married. I don't believe in the institution of marriage. I don't need to get married, right? I'm with a guy I love. We can see ourselves spending our lives together. And, this institution, it's not going to change a damn thing. Fast forward 5 or 6 years, they're getting married, right? Now, she's a strong-minded and strong-willed individual who does things on her terms. However, she's absolutely getting caught up in the
Wow.
what I call the fairy tale.
The
because
industry.
for most young women, and I'm just saying based on my experience, okay, guys, so don't shoot me. Based on my experience, guys get less caught up in it than women do.
Definitely.
But-
For women, it's a fairy tale.
Yeah, it's hyped since they're born.
It's a fairy tale. And so from the dress to the shoes, to the ambiance, to the decorations, to the flowers, no detail goes without, a certain level of scrutiny
and cost.
and cost.
Exactly.
And it's going to cost what it's going to cost.
we are excluding
but-
gay marriages, huh?
No,
What's
I was
that?
going to bring that up later.
We're
Because
excluding gay marriages.
Why?
the gays are screwed
it's
too.
the same thing.
No, because they get cut up.
Well, yes. But again,
Okay.
in my experience,
Yeah.
at least one of the individuals in a gay relationship has more feminine type of attributes, or both can have that mentality. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. I understand it. But my philosophy in life for everything is live according to your means. So back to your question, plan according to your means. And by the way, it doesn't matter if you have the ritziest wedding ever or if you have the plainest wedding ever. The people who most care about you are going to be there and they're going to be happy for you.
Yep, exactly.
They're not going to talk
That's
about
the message.
what was served and was the booze free, and they don't care. What they care about is your happiness and your well-being.
I totally agree.
So those are the people
But
that
your
should be.
But your approach works at every level, whether you can afford it or not. You say, this is how much I can afford.
But
This
back
is your envelope.
But Noreen's question in terms of the advice we would give, and I don't think that most young people are going to listen to us regardless.
Well, of
They're
course
more
they
likely to
should.
be influenced by social media. However, this whole idea of do things according to your means, and by the way, the last thing you should do, is indebt yourself or have your parents indebt themselves for the purpose of having this event.
Pat, it would have been interesting to have a woman here because they see it totally different
Yeah.
than us guys.
Well, those are the Juliets who can talk about them. We're the
Exactly,
Romeos.
so-
So
So that's the
Well,
thing.
for any Juliets that are out there as part of the viewership
Yeah.
or listening in, give us your input. Give
Yeah.
us your opinions. Let us know what you think.
Because you were telling about your daughter, how she's got into it now, but it's normal for them. They're girls, they're women. It's their day more than it is our day.
Yeah, emotion
Yeah,
takes over.
Exactly. So,
yeah, but
I'm not disputing that. I understand all that. But at some
Pat,
point,
Pat, we're in North America though, right? So what's the general level of indebtedness in North America? How many
it's
people?
not just North America.
Canada.
But through the roof.
But in general,
Several years ago, I had a conversation with an East Indian man who told me that his daughter's wedding was such a singularly important event. And by the way, it's not held in one day. It's held over many days in different locations. On the day of, there were 3 changes of clothing. All the dresses have to be authentic and so on and so forth. And all this to tell you that he took out a second mortgage on his home.
Yes.
And it was going to be attended. The wedding, all told, was going to be attended by 800 people.
good luck to that. Hopefully, hopefully the marriage lasts.
So I was listening with great interest because I was learning from this person about, the cultural influence and how they do things. And I marvel at it. At the same time, I was thinking, at your age, you have to be out of your mind to be taking out a second mortgage on your home. You should be working towards eliminating any debt. Any debt.
But in his case, the response is he will be satisfied because he's keeping his good name.
I want to know how satisfied he's going to be when he's 80 years old and he doesn't have enough money to support himself and his wife.
He's going to move in with the daughter.
But that's part of the
those are extreme cultures, when it comes to that.
That's part of the culture.
Listen, some cultures may look at Italians and Greeks or in Armenians and Jews and say that's extreme.
Yeah.
Like how much are you guys spending on a freaking wedding?
For sure.
But
I mean,
rent a restaurant out.
Yeah, but that's...
I spent a lot more for my divorce.
You know what? But in that case, Pat...
Just saying, right? Yeah, but your parents or her parents didn't provide any financial assistance for that.
But
no, they didn't.
Right. And that's a scam too, because lawyers are involved.
Not for me.
And just maybe to try to dig into that psychology of the person, the example that you just cited, he feels like, sure, accumulating debt for my standing in my community, my good name, that's a fair exchange.
I didn't say I didn't understand it. I said I don't agree with it.
I don't agree with it, but that's the power of expectations.
The kids too. I mean, if they see that their parents have to get a second mortgage,
that's selfish. That's
exactly.
super selfish of the kids.
It's cultural.
I don't care about culture or not.
You do care about culture.
No, but hang on
I do,
a second. The kids. So every generation, every successive generation is going to be less cultural and more watered down. Like for example, you guys were talking about. You said your kids. You wanted to go back to the homeland and whatever. You think their kids are going to think that way?
Well, it depends how they're brought up.
Not only
he's right though.
How they're brought up,
highly unlikely,
and who they marry, because they may or may not marry, Greek or Italian.
There's a lot more.
There's a lot more diversity happening.
Absolutely.
As the generations roll on.
Of course.
So. It's just a matter of time.
The general rule is 3 generations. Within 3 generations, whatever notion you had of cultural heritage.
This is the last of the Mohicans.
Capicolo becomes Gabagool.
There you go.
It's like, what the hell? How did that happen?
Exactly. With the Sopranos.
Yeah. So really, this is everybody at some point. I mean, to hear the experiences that we're sharing, especially the women, they will at some point, they will be bitten by this bug. The fairy tale, and that's what will hold sway. This is what we're saying.
Yeah.
Well, to some extent.
Wow.
And so the fortunate ones, I suppose, will get most of the items on their checklist, and the less fortunate ones will not. But I think it was Nuran earlier who raised the point, which is very valid, and I would say increasingly valid in our society, which is the question of affordability. Most parents today, cannot afford to financially provide to the extent that they would like, and certainly their kids might expect, for the purpose of having a wedding, a memorable wedding.
Yeah.
They can't.
Well, it's tens of thousands of dollars minimum.
Well, do the math.
Yeah.
If we take as a benchmark $300 a head, and by the way, $300 a head is not the most lavish wedding today.
No, 100 people,
right?
30 grand, right? That's just 100 people. 200 people, 60 grand, right there. So
it's a lot of money.
That's only
exactly.
the reception.
Yeah, exactly.
Everything else,
the cars, the limos,
the honeymoon, and
the clothes.
The clothes.
How much is a dress? How much are shoes?
The envelope to the priest.
The hair.
The envelope to the priest.
Oh yeah.
You're assuming a priest is involved.
1,500 euros.
That's less the case though.
Or a pedophile, whatever.
But you know what? In the end, it's your kids, and it's going to come out in the wash. Whatever you spend on the wedding, they'll get less at the end.
So I'm going to make an assumption, which I shouldn't, but I'm going to make an assumption,
Okay.
and you guys correct me if my assumption is off base. Everything I've heard from you guys to this point only applies to a first wedding.
Oh, of course.
Hell yeah.
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 Oh, yeah.
Why would anyone get married twice? I don't understand that.
Yeah,
more and more people are today.
Yeah,
I know. Right. It's just that to me.
Yeah, it's the... one and only.
The one and only.
Yeah, it's one per customer.
Okay.
Okay, there's no refunds.
No money back guarantee.
No money back.
Totally.
Your facial expression says, I agree.
Oh, I agree wholeheartedly.
There's no extended warranty on this. That is a good point.
Is there a refund provision?
No, nothing.
No? So in other words, if it only lasts 6 months or a year or 2 years, it's
Yeah, money's gone, man.
too bad, so sad.
Everything's been paid.
You know what?
You're screwed.
That's it. As long as you had a good meal, you were with friends, what the hell?
Yeah, there you go.
It all worked out.
That's an expensive dinner, my friend.
Well, you know what? You can't control everything.
So I have another question for you guys. So notwithstanding the ability to contribute financially, do you think that both sets of parents should be making a similar contribution
Of
to
course.
the event?
Yes.
Yes, I think that's.
I think it should be means.
that's a
means,
change.
But that's
Yeah.
means tested. I mean, if one set of parents is a lot better off than another, then you can kind of figure it out or be sensitive to that. If you have a working class set of parents on one hand and more wealthy or a
Right.
wealthy set of parents on the other hand, you don't necessarily want to say, hey, listen, let's split it down the middle, and I want the most lavish wedding for my little angel, and so on, and then expect the other folks to
You're
pony
right.
up.
You're right. But at least we
Right.
agree that the initial stance should not be, the girl's
Definitely.
parents, it's automatic. They have to assume.
No,
the
exactly.
So
finances
it's
of
interesting.
the
'Cause
wedding.
You guys were talking earlier about cultural heritage
Yeah.
and respecting tradition.
Yes.
Traditionally, for most people of an ethnic background,
Yeah, it's the girl's dad,
Yes.
or parents. Yeah,
But we're changing that.
okay, so that part of it is okay to change.
because you guys
But
have
other
daughters.
facets,
That's
no.
why. You guys have daughters. That's why.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well,
Too late. They're all married off.
He has a son as well.
I have my son as well, and absolutely, there's a conversation to be had. I'm not expecting automatically in 2024 the parents of the bride, you take this on, you pay for all this. That's the way it's done.
Did you do 100% for your daughter?
She's not married.
Oh, okay.
No,
Sorry.
she's not married. So,
So the answer
I
is
have to be
no.
careful how I answer some of these points, considering Sophia is still not married.
Okay.
Sophia, take notes. Take notes.
Mi scusi.
But, everything is changing now.
But you guys, do you all agree?
Yeah,
Yeah?
totally.
Yes?
Yeah,
Totally.
yeah.
Totally.
So your sons and daughter will all receive a similar contribution with the expectation that their partner's parents should be making based on
Based on
their
everybody's
means,
ability.
I like
should
the
be
way.
contributing a similar
So
amount.
I like the way you said it the best, because what I can do is say, hey, here's a figure that I've set aside for each one of your
Yeah.
weddings, or for each one of your change of life, as you said, or whatever, for that point. And you can use that for a down payment. You can use it for your wedding. You can do what you want. But here's the money, and here it's in your hands. And this is for you, by the way. It's not for the couple. It's for you. You manage it with your significant other, and figure out what's the best thing to do. I think that's probably the best way to do it. I haven't really thought about it that much, quite honestly. I've been my mind's been all over the place recently, but I was kind of thinking about for a home down payment, that kind of thing. But I kind of like this whole lump sum thing, where it's like, here you go, my hands are
So I'll tell you why, in my mind, an interesting and perhaps appropriate time to be making that contribution to your kids is for their wedding. Because now they're faced with a decision of, okay, how much of this money am I going to apply towards the wedding? And of course, being the judgmental individual I am, although when I've given you money, it's no longer mine, it's yours. So you decide how you're going to spend it.
But you're going to look and
But
see
I'm
how.
watching.
Yeah, you're watching. You want
Right?
to see how it's
because that is going to determine how I provide funding for other things.
Yeah, if you
from
can
this
manage
point
the money
forward.
properly or not.
Right. So they haven't proven themselves yet. I mean, it's reached
Well,
the point that they're adults now.
proven themselves. It's
Like your daughter, the example that
Yeah.
if I may, and she's reached a certain level in her life, professionally, personally. She's done things right. So
well, it's not for me
Why
to
would you not
determine
judge?
right or wrong. It's for me to
the
determine
financial sense, I guess, is what you're talking.
because
She's proven that she has good financial sense, or maybe not. Okay,
no, I don't think proven. What does that mean? Like proven to her dad that she's going to manage money.
Well, she's responsible.
The way I would manage.
she's
money?
responsible, not your daughter. I mean, if we could talk about our kids. Right?
I don't expect my kids to lead the life I've lived.
No. All I'm saying, Pat,
It's their choices, it's their decisions. All I'm saying is when it comes to financial matters,
right.
I've worked too damn hard and have been living according to some guiding principles that I hold near and dear, that I'm not going to see whatever money I've accumulated, not only for my benefit, my wife's benefit, my kids' benefit to this point, be absolutely wasted.
But I don't see that in your case.
When I'm no longer here, they can do whatever the hell they
okay.
want.
Oh, you
I
put
don't-
together a trust, and
Well,
then you
yeah,
can
right.
figure that
So
out.
I don't see
Absolutely,
that.
but I'm saying within reason they can do whatever the hell they
But
want.
I don't see that. I don't see that
With
in our kids.
milestones.
I see in our kids. I see in our kids adults who are very sensible, have done the right things. They learned well from us, and they're responsible in the choices that they're making, and the way they're managing their careers and they're managing their finances.
Aki, you don't know what
so
the
I'm
future
very
brings.
comfortable. So
Exactly.
all I'm saying is, well, okay.
You don't know what the future brings.
Right.
You don't know if
That
one
a
of the
partner,
partners.
a partner, of course, a partner could just destroy
But
everything.
that is talking
A bad
in general.
partner can really,
Exactly.
undermine it all.
Exactly.
But that is talking in general.
And that's
not
the Pat's point
specific.
as well. Is you,
Yeah.
want to be able to protect your child as much as you can as well, because in the end, I don't know. I feel similar in terms of if you've worked for something, you don't want it to be pissed away. Not that they would.
That's
but,
what I'm saying.
But you still.
Well, you're always going to be on guard, I suppose.
But you know what? Once I'm dead, I don't give a shit anyway.
I think one day we should talk about the real scams. Funerals.
Yes.
Those are scams.
Well, we can have that conversation.
I thought
but
you were gonna equate the weddings to the funerals as
some
well.
people have funeral weddings.
I'm not
saying-
touching that one.
Yeah.
It has not been my personal experience. I'll leave it at that.
No, but funerals are a real scam.
Yeah.
Those are real scams.
Yep.
Okay.
Definitely to be discussed.
Well, so we will perhaps have that discussion at a later date. I maintain that weddings are a scam
Yeah.
to a large extent. Not that I don't believe in the institution of marriage, and not that I don't enjoy weddings. I do, but they are a scam.
Yeah. That
And
people
so
fall into.
be careful of the scammers and be on guard.
That's good.
Sounds good, guys.
Final thoughts, guys?
Well, yeah. Everything that you said was right on. I agree.
But in the end, just do what feels good for you.
You'd make a good wedding planner.
Yeah, well, okay. On that sour note, I'm going to thank you guys for the conversation, and I'm going to thank our viewers and listeners for joining us once again. Again, please subscribe if you haven't done so already. We greatly appreciate it, and we all look forward to seeing you next week. Bye.
Thank you.
Take care, guys.